Well, the topic of same-sex marriage and LGBT rights is also a polarizing campaign issue, with some far-right Christian candidates even suggesting you can pray the gay away. A new voice in this arena shares that evangelical pedigree. He is the grandson of televangelist Oral Roberts. But despite growing up in the shadow of his grandfather, Randy Roberts Potts isn't talking fire and brimstone, but tolerance. My colleague, NBC's Page Hopkins, is here with this story, so this is an interesting one.
It is very interesting, Alex, and you've got to remember that Oral Roberts was the first and one of the biggest of the televangelists. I mean, he brought the Pentecostal faith to mainstream America, he started a self-named university, and of course lived a rich life through his relentless pleas for money from his followers. Well, his grandson, Randy Roberts Potts, grew up with him in Tulsa, Oklahoma, steeped in that really sheltered far-right Christian world. Well, now he's following a calling like his grandfather, but with an unexpected message.
In the name of Jesus, come out!
Oral Roberts was one of the first and most iconic of the televangelists. Randy Roberts Potts grew up on the family compound in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with his larger-than-life grandfather.
He was a very complex person who made a lot of decisions I don't agree with, but I think you had a real heart for people.
A legacy his grandson is carrying on today, but with an unexpected twist.
I woke up one day and I felt suicidal. I'd been for years wishing that I would just die because I didn't want to come out. I didn't want to be gay.
So Randy Potts spent years living the life expected of Oral Roberts' grandson. He was married with 3 children.
I really loved my wife. We met at 18 and we were best friends and we were inseparable. At the time, I knew I didn't really have sexual attractions for women.
Then why would you get married? How do you have 3 kids?
Because honestly, I thought I was just a really good Christian, that I just didn't sexualize women. That I just thought, well, lucky me, I don't really look at women the way all the boys do.
The suicide of Randy's closeted gay uncle when he was just a boy haunted him until he had a revelation while he was married.
We led these very similar lives, and then in my late 20s, I discovered that he was gay, just as I was discovering, that I was not bi, that I really was just gay. And, so of course, then I really related to him.
His uncle's secret life and tragic death inspired Randy to get divorced and live openly as a gay man, not knowing what his life would be like.
The only thing I knew about homosexuals was that they maybe went to parks and did, dirty things or something. I knew I didn't want to spend my life every night in a club getting drunk and doing stuff in parks, and that was my view of homosexuality, and I thought, well, that's not me.
Randy's decision to come out was felt at Oral Roberts' funeral when his mother spoke before the mourners.
I was not invited to sit with the family. She got up to speak about my grandfather and then saw me in the audience, and she just lost it and started talking about how homosexuals were going to hell. I think for about 10 seconds I sat there and kind of quaking in my boots, and then this calmness passed over me, and I just let it go. I thought, that's where she is, and she's hurting and she's angry, but I'm not. I think that you can't hate someone for feeling that way at all. I love my mother, and I know that she wants the best for me and doesn't want me to go to hell.
Randy's mission now is to reach out to the very people who shunned him, the evangelical communities.
I don't think that evangelicals hate homosexuals at all. I think that they look at Jesus' message as being accepting, but Jesus also came down strongly against sin, and they see homosexuality as sin. For them, people who are openly gay are defying God. They are not bad people, and I know in their heart that they don't want to do that. So I think it's a tug of war. Miracles happen through forgiveness.
A battle Randy has taken on, preaching acceptance.
I am setting up meetings with evangelical ministers. They're private, they're not public, but meetings to kind of figure out, okay, you're here, I'm there, how do we find common ground? The rhetoric they are currently using is tearing apart families. It leads to drug and alcohol abuse, it leads to suicide, and a lot of ministers are getting that. I may not be able to change their mind about homosexuality, but maybe I can change how they address it in their church so that families aren't torn apart so often.
He's also setting up storefronts in religiously conservative towns where he and his boyfriend will go about their daily routine, all on display to show how normal they are.
In the 90s, there was sort of a shift where gay men and women were coming out and saying, We do want to serve in the military. We do want to get married. We are conservative, some of us. Americans really want to be tolerant and accepting, and they want to embrace gay men and women, but they want to embrace people with their values that want to get married, that might want to serve in the military.
So what do you think Oral Roberts would say about you today?
You know, I think that had he come from a later generation,
Yeah.
I think he would have been very gay affirming. He was very, very much a pioneer on the race issue in the 70s. He made sure his choir was very integrated. Had he come from a later generation, he may have decided to be a pioneer on gay rights. I don't know.
And Randy visited his grandfather, Oral Roberts, right before his death 2 years ago, and he says that at that point his grandfather knew he was gay, but that they had an amazingly loving visit that he's always going to treasure.
I'm so glad for that. You know, I have to say, and you may be able to relate this because you're a mom too and adore your kids as much as I do mine. I feel sorriest for his mother.
Yeah.
That she's alienated him from her life.
And he's so sympathetic, and
Yeah.
he says she's just steeped in these beliefs. And
Yeah, my heart goes out to her almost most of all for what she's
Absolutely.
losing. Anyway,
Right.
Paige, thank you so much. Great story.
Sure.